The ceremonial pouring of the beer tonight features Monarchy Unlimited Edition Brown Ale from Little Brown Jug Brewing in Winnipeg. They describe it as having malt flavors of toffee, chocolate, and dark fruit with a toffee and toast aroma. Yes, it is a nice beer. So, starting off tonight with, what does it say? Voice Control LED Melody Light DIY. That sounds suspiciously like a kit. And it's a specific enough description that it might actually be what it says. It does look like a kit. Let's just get this out here for a second and see what's in it. Circuit board, some capacitors, 3 LEDs, a microphone, and a couple of transistors, some resistors. Yeah, 4 LEDs. Okay. Does it say much on it? No. But it sounds like it is a sound-activated light-up project. And that's perfect because I kind of like doing a bunch of kit builds through December. It's a pretty hectic time of the year, so why not mellow out and do some kits? I think that's what I shall save that for. Electronic Funny Kits Voice Control LED Melody Light DIY with other random letters there. Got this one from JRL118. I think that's what that says. $1.88 and 94 cents shipping. That seems to be the way of the world these days. The shipping's almost as much as the products. Anyway, that does look a lot like the board that we got and the kit of parts. Looks like a fairly simple, quick one to put together. Perfect thing for mellowing out on a cold winter's evening. Sure, it lights the LEDs with sound. A little sound-activated disco light style thing, only the simplest, cheapest version of it, maybe. Okay, next in, this one says cable, and it came from a UK, well, maybe a UK seller, maybe a UK shipper, not sure. If it is a cable, let's not cut through it. I saw something else in there. Oh, it's just one of those, thank you for buying. Okay, whatever. This is, what kind of cable is that? Oh, it's just a SATA cable. Okay. So something common and boring like that, I have to assume that the only reason that I bought this particular one is because it was super duper cheap, cheaper than I could get it locally. One piece, high speed, straight angle, 6 gigabit per second, SATA 3 cable for 2.5 inch SSD, or, whatever. Yeah, okay, I got it at auction for 63 Canadian cents with free shipping. That's why I bought something as mundane as a SATA cable. Next in we have, the ever-famous plastic sheet. Now I know I haven't actually ordered any plastic sheets for a while, so let's see what this is. Place your bets down in the comments. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Well, it's plastic. Lots of plastic. Okay. Oh, that looks like an expansion card for a computer. And it is. It is a 5 USB port. They're not USB 3 though. Well, my workshop computer down here has very, very few USB ports available, and I kind of like to have. Oh, did that get damaged? Oh, that's just bent a little bit. Okay. Anyway, where was it? Yeah, I kind of like to have a handful available for loading Arduino stuff and cameras and various and sundry things. And I wouldn't mind having one or some that are separate from the motherboard, just in case I plug them into something that happens to be a little bit more random and dangerous than you would like plug into your motherboard. So that's what that's doing. Internal 480 megabit per second PCI to 4+1 USB 2.0, not 3, okay. So they didn't promise it as a 3. Adapter expansion card for computer, Sandwood. The cost has changed a little bit, but only by a few cents because of the exchange rate. Cost me $5.60 Canadian plus $1.70 shipping. And I don't know, maybe I could have got a cheaper deal. I'm not sure. Maybe I should have held out for for a cheap USB 3. I don't know, but I got it and it'll come in handy. You can always use extra USB ports. Next in we have cut-off switch, it calls itself. All right. Some kind of a switch, maybe? That's not a switch. This, if I remember correctly, is a little splicing jig for 3D printer filament. So basically, I think you just clamp the filament in there and it lines it up. You heat it up and then just sort of shove it down into that nylon, I think, bushing, and it just aligns it until it cools. And then you take it out. I think that's how it works. 3D printer parts, filament welder, connector for Ender 3 Pro SKR aluminum block, 1.75mm PL ABS filament sensor with Allen key. It is not a filament sensor. Why are you calling it that? They have them in black and silvery. I got the silvery one, $6.75 Canadian plus $1.53 for shipping. I've seen these also on eBay and Banggood, but I chose this one because at the time it was the cheapest one available. We have instructions. Trim the filament ends. One end pass through from the direction of the big end to the tick mark. The other end pass through from the direction of the small end. Exposed 1 to 2 millimeters. Burn with fire for 5 to 7 seconds. For PLA, blah, blah, blah. Okay, harder filaments, a bit longer. Quickly push filaments from the small end to the big end. After it's cooled, the filament can be completely pushed out and then trimmed. Test the results to make sure, yeah, if you're a crisp sound, if you break it, yeah. Then unscrew the bolts to take the filament out. Right. Okay, so I got a couple of pieces of filament here. They're just random scraps of PLA. Burn with fire for a few seconds. And then shove it through. Oh, wow, that's messy. Oh, it's actually going into that little Teflon-y piece. Okay. Then I guess we wait for a few seconds and pull it right through. Huh. That does need a little bit of trimming because it's a little bit thicker than the filament itself, but okay, yeah, we just trim that kind of mongrel-y stuff off. It's not perfect. I have to trim it just a little bit more just to whittle away just to get it nice and smooth. Okay, let's see if this will go. Now this is the Capricorn style tube, which is a little bit skinnier ID. Oh no, not quite. Okay. Well, looks like I might have to do a bit more pruning or get a bit more practice with this thing, if it works at all. So why would I want such a... Oh, okay. Well, looks like I may need a lot more practice if this thing actually can produce good results. So, why would I want such a thing? Well, when you're printing, you tend to end up with small pieces left, like small, like a handful of meters long that you can't really use for anything. So being a pack rat, you tend to accumulate it. It'd be kind of cool to splice them all together just into a multicolored roll of filament, and if you could get it to print reliably, then you could do multicolored prints. You'd even intentionally cut up your filament into a couple of foot lengths and splice them together to get some neat effects. Maybe, I don't know. Could be fun to play with anyway, if it does what it claims to do. We shall see in the future. And the last and largest thing in is this big beast. Now it says it is multimeter and wire strippers. And that sounds an awful lot like something that Kaiweets promised to send me some time ago. So I'm assuming it suffered from international shipping, if that's what it is, which is why it took so long to get here. I'll just dump this out. So we have a Kaiweets Smart Multimeter KM601. And we have an assortment of wire strippers. Okay. Oh, you, Sparky, get back up there. So, meter similar to the one that they sent me a while ago. That's the HT112B, Cam 601. Okay. It's another one with a huge screen on it, though. Let's look at these wire cutters first, or wire strippers. We'll start with the most plain one, I guess. This is what KWS 102 multifunctional wire stripper. So it's got a set of flush cutters up here. Well, this meet fairly well. That's good. You like flush cutters. They get close to the circuit board to cut the wire, and most important, if you're cutting tie wraps, zip ties, then you want flush cutters for those. You especially want flush cutters for those, because if you cut them off flush, then you don't slice your arms on the little cutoff tab. Nothing worse than that. And this also has stripping from 1080WG down to 20, or 2.6 millimeter down to 0.8 millimeter. That's a handy small little pair of cutters and strippers. What we got next? Let's look at this one, KWS 105. So this one has a set of strip guides up here, and there's a little tiny pair of gripper pliers up there. It has some screw cutters in there. Those come in handy. I've got an older pair that's got that, which is actually very similar to this, a little bit larger, but this is quite solid feeling. You know, a lot of them, they get kind of wobbly in the middle. This one's not bad. And then we have crimps for insulated and non-insulated, the blue, the yellow, and the red size ones. Typical automotive crimps, or low voltage DC or whatever. And there is also a coax crimp. Although that's not ideal. For coax, you want to squeeze on all sides together, but in a pinch it'll work, I guess. Warning, do not use on live circuits. Yeah, no doubt. Next in is this one, KWS 101. This one says it's good for stranded 10 to 20 gauge or 0.8 to 2.6 millimeter. What do we have here? Okay. There's a little locking tab, a little lightweight crimp down there, and just basic stripping, again, from 10 to 20 gauge or 2.6 to 0.8 millimeter. And they're all fairly solid feeling so far, fairly heavy there. Okay. And then the big guy, KWS 103. It's an automatic stripper. Again, 10 to 24 gauge. Oh, 24, that's a little bit smaller than the other ones go. Do any of those? No, okay, so this one can handle down to a little bit smaller wire. In metric, 0.5 millimeter to 2.6 millimeter. Now, I don't tend to use automatic strippers very often. I used to have a decent pair at a former job. I used it a little bit, but mostly I used either this style or, as you've seen me do, just use the cutters. But there are some applications where an automatic stripper is going to work well. So what do we got here? We have a plus or minus adjustment for the grippy side, and we have a little depth stop for the strip side. Okay, so here's an assortment of wire. This is 16 gauge electrical wire, like just lamp cord basically. So let's see what it does with that. Nice. It doesn't look like it nicked the strands, which is always one of the problems with this style if they're not adjusted very well, if they're not working very well. That's cool. Okay, what is this? This is like 18 or 20 gauge or something. This is computer power supply wire. I guess we can use one of these strip gauges to tell me what it is. It might be 22. Okay. I don't know. That's not bad. This is even finer. This is out of an old serial RS-232 cable. And again, doesn't look like it nicked any of the strands. That's pretty impressive. Okay, this is a 26 gauge, which is a little bit finer than this thing claims. This is out of a piece of Cat 5 cable. So it still did it, but as you can see, it kind of bunched up that really thin insulation. But it doesn't claim to work on stuff that small anyways. I don't think anything here does. No. Although it sort of does it, but it's not supposed to. But I always tend to strip that like this anyway, just with cutters. And that worked. Oh, that's a kind of a neat little assortment. I didn't even know Kaiweets did tools. I thought they only did multimeters. Okay, so we'll just go through these 4 quickly, hoping that this one comes back into stock when you see it. Anyway, they've sent me Amazon links. They're not affiliate links or anything. They're just straight up Amazon links. So I don't know how much that one would cost. Okay, now this one, the KWS 101, that's only $6.99 American, $7. That's not bad. Wow, more for shipping, but if you've got Amazon's, whatever that is, Prime, I think it is, or something, you can get free shipping, I suppose. This guy, the KWS 105, that's the one with the screw cutter and the crimping and whatnot in it. That's $6.99 plus shipping. And the Big Kahuna. Oh, okay. It normally comes in a kit with some crimps and tie wraps and whatnot and wire ties. Okay. It goes for $24.99 plus shipping. That's not a bad deal for the package deal, actually. And they do seem fairly solid, so I'm expecting that they probably would last. That's one thing. Cutters and strippers, you use them a lot, and they'll eventually lose their edge. And I'm not going to cut 1,000 wires to just see how long they last, but like I said, they don't feel like they're going to bend in your hand or anything. They do feel fairly solid. And let's just take a quick look at this little meter here. Comes in a case. It's got 6 AAA cells with it. Fairly thick manual. Multiple languages, although English goes more than halfway through it. Okay. Let's just see what the meter itself looks like. Alright, so that does look like similar shape to this guy, but bigger and a much bigger screen. So that may replace this guy as my on-screen meter just because it's got a big display on it. And I do like a big display for showing on video. In the pouch here we have, hey, a thermocouple. That's nice. And we have some probes. They're not silicone. They're relatively flexible, but they're not the worst I've had. 90-degree connectors so that they can go into the bottom of the meter here. And they are standard size. They're not the miniature ones like that other meter. So that's good. Like all meters these days, it comes with the little sleeve on it. And nice long probes, nice sharp probes. Let's just get a set of batteries into this thing. That's the one thing I remember about the other one too. It was a little bit tricky getting this bumper off here, but I am just going to do a quick power it on, see what it looks like. Oh, there we go. Comes right up into autopilot mode. It's a full color screen. That is kind of neat. So this looks like it's very similar to the previous one. You can see that they're both hunting. They're both coming up in automatic mode. They both got built-in thermometer measuring the temperature. If you want to see a bit more detailed review of this, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure Julian Eilert did a fairly deep review on one of these in the last month or so. I'll put a link to that down below as well. But if you want to see me run it through its paces, such as it is, I mean, I'm not a professional meter reviewer in any case. But yeah, let me know. Otherwise, it may find a place on my workbench. And here's the link to the Kaiweets KM601 multimeter with all the information and whatnot. Again, I can't tell you the price of it because it looks like it's out of stock at Amazon at the moment. Hopefully by the time you see this, it will be back in stock. Regardless, I'll put a link down below. As I said below before, it's not an affiliate link, so I don't get any kickback on this. They just wanted me to show it to you. And there is the contents of today's Mailbag Monday haul. And quite the haul it was. I wasn't expecting Kaiweets to send that many things when they said they were going to send me stuff. Anyway, let's go through the shipping times for the stuff that I bought. This voice control LED kit here took 41 days. The USB card took 70 days. Wow. This little filament splicer guy took 36 days, and the SATA cable took 25 days. Less than $1. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have to get some practice in with this thing. I'll report back eventually on how it works. Maybe I'll print off something. I don't know. As I said, for my editing computer, just so I've got more ports and some that could potentially be sacrificial should I plug something stupid in the computer. Kit for December. Cheap cable because cheap cable. And yeah, these Kaiweets wire strippers. I have more wire strippers than I know what to do with now. I guess I can leave some out in the garage because, yeah, I need some tools out there for that workbench. And I haven't had, as I said, automatic wire stripper for a very long time. So I'm interested to see if this one ends up as an important part of my workflow or not. We shall see going forward. And of course, this meter over here, as I said, if you would like to see me go a little bit deeper into it in a future video, let me know down below. Otherwise, I'm sure, like the other meter that they sent me, it's going to show up in the future on my workbench. There are lots of times when I need more than one or more than two multimeters for a project, just to measure everything that's going on. So always good to have another one around. And I said, that one's got a bit bigger screen on it. So for my aging eyes, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to Kaiweets for sending that stuff in. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube channel members for helping me keep the mailbags full with the stuff that I'm buying. And their generosity allows me to buy things that are a little bit less cheap than I would normally buy. So we get a little bit wider variety of stuff once in a while. Questions and comments down below. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.